They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding? I came for you.
Hello, we'll start this Candyman feature going in a route that is not the usual one. We won't start with the first movie. We'll start with a short story, The Forbidden, by Clive Barker, that was published in Books of Blood Volume 5, and it was the basis for the Candyman movies. You know Candyman, probably if you clicked on this video you're familiar with the horror franchise, and it's a very iconic slasher franchise from the 90s that features Candyman, which is sort of like African-American Freddy Krueger, and the story The Forbidden, as anybody would expect, for this franchise, this iconic African-American franchise, features an all-white British cast because it is set in Liverpool, where Clive Barker was born and raised. And okay, this is very different from the end movie. However, it's also very similar. And let's talk about this short story. It's about 50 pages long, as far as I remember. At least the version I've read, which is translated to Greek, it was almost 50 pages long. So I guess in English it'll be a little less than 40 pages. Is described in the short story as a man with pallid yellow skin, and has an early red bird, and as well he has a hook, and there are bees on his torso that is stripped of flesh. So basically, Candyman is a gingerbread man with a hook, and the story takes place in a community housing, which is not an apartment building like in the movies, but it's it's full of one-story buildings, and some of these houses are abandoned because people left, because there was crime, because it's a ghetto. It's a British ghetto from the 80s, and things were bad in the 80s in Britain because of reasons. I don't know, I haven't been there. I'm just familiar with that, so if I'm wrong, please leave a comment saying you're wrong, but working class in the 80s in the UK was not living the dream. The story features a PhD student, I think her name is Ellen, that is taking photos of graffitis for her dissertation. So she goes out in this community housing and she takes photos of graffitis, including the sweet graffiti that is also featured in the movie.
This. Oh, this is great. Sweets to the sweet. Sweets to the sweet.
And she hears rumors about gruesome murders happening somewhere else in another part of the housing project. So she investigates the case and soon realizes that no, there is no murders, it's just an urban myth. So she disproves the urban myth, and that prompts Candyman, which is an urban myth incarnate, meaning it's an urban legend that remains alive as long as people believe in the murders he committed. But once Helen disproves of those murders, he comes along, he kills a baby, and haunts Ellen so that his legend will live on. And if there are some changes from the movie is much more, well, it's a 90-minute movie, so there are lots of stuff added there. But the story is bare bones, and it's mostly the scaffolding upon which the Candyman saga was built upon. And apart from the different skin colors, because the UK back then was much more homogeneous and ethnically similar in a way, at least in skin color, because there were different nationalities there too. And actually, the final set piece of the Candyman movie, the bonfire, is much better explained in the story because the Guy Fawkes 5th of November fire, that's a custom for the UK, for England. The main idea for this story is mind-blowing, and that's a staple for Clive Barker's Books of Blood, because those stories in there, they were full of very original ideas. Rumor has it that Stephen King considered quitting writing after reading the Books of Blood because he realized how original Clive Barker's ideas were, and how not original his own were. Well, not that much, Stephen, but I get what it means. They were very original, very out there, and they redefined horror in many ways. And lots of the more literary horror of the 90s can be traced back to Clive Barker and his Books of Blood and his other works. So the main idea, you have an urban myth that comes to life to kill so it will survive, is just mind-blowing, and killing naysayers is scary in a way, because when you disprove an urban myth or some fake news, they come to haunt you and kill you. That's scary if you think of it. And this concept is amazing. But you know what? Also, this concept is very, very cerebral. So it lacks an emotional punch. I mean, I can appreciate how amazing this idea is, how out there this is, but at the same time, I cannot feel the emotional punch that the Candyman saga needs, and the movies did a great work adding some emotional punches. That's something the movies did very well in the adaptation. So, if you've read the story, The Forbidden, leave a comment below. If you haven't and you've only watched the movies, I'd suggest you read the Books of Blood, because they're amazing story collection. This is how horror story collections should be written, in my opinion. The Books of Blood. Okay, Volume 5 is not the best in the series. I mean, the first two are definitely the must reads. Volume 5 is, if you like the previous one, you can read this. But The Forbidden is a good reason to read this book. Let's be honest, the Books of Blood are awesome. All 6 of them, despite their quality dipping the later volumes. And if you read this, leave a comment. If you haven't, go and read it. I'm repeating myself. So yes, if you like this video, press the like button, and coming soon, we'll talk about the Candyman movie in this featurette. The videos are coming all together, so they're scheduled. Make sure you stay tuned, subscribe, or press the notification bell so you get a notification when the next video comes out, the Candyman video comes out. It will be very soon, and we'll get to all 3 of the Candyman movies. The 2020 reboot is not out yet, so yes, you should wait for it to come out for me to review it, but it will be reviewed as part of this feature in this iconic slasher franchise. And thank you for watching. Have fun.